Man conquers the world by conquering himself. This ancient wisdom encapsulates the essence of Stoicism, a philosophy not of abstract thought, but of practical action and self-mastery. The Stoics, through their profound understanding of human nature, uncovered timeless truths that remain as relevant today as they were millennia ago. In this video, we delve into 7 brutal truths that every man must confront and embrace to lead a life of virtue, resilience, and fulfillment. Stay with us until the end, as each truth builds upon the last, guiding you toward your best self. And if these insights resonate, remember to like, subscribe, and share your own experiences in the comments below. Chapter 1. You control how you respond and react. Life is an unpredictable tapestry of events, some joyous, others challenging. While we cannot dictate the external circumstances that befall us, we possess absolute authority over our reactions to them. This foundational Stoic principle teaches that our perceptions, not the events themselves, shape our experiences. As Epictetus wisely noted, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Imagine you're driving to an important meeting and suddenly you're caught in an unexpected traffic jam. The initial surge of frustration is natural, but dwelling on it, allowing it to fester into anger, serves no purpose. Instead, by acknowledging the situation and choosing a calm response, you maintain clarity and composure. This deliberate control over one's reactions is the hallmark of emotional maturity. Modern psychology echoes this ancient wisdom. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, for instance, emphasizes that our thoughts influence our emotions and behaviors. By reframing negative perceptions, we can alter our emotional responses. This practice aligns seamlessly with Stoic teachings, underscoring the timeless relevance of mastering one's reactions. In relationships, this principle is particularly vital. Disagreements are inevitable, but responding with patience and understanding rather than impulsive anger fosters trust and respect. By controlling your reactions, you set the tone for constructive dialogue and mutual growth. The Stoics also recognized the power of the pause, the brief moment between stimulus and response. In that space lies our freedom to choose. By cultivating mindfulness, we become aware of this space and can exercise our agency effectively. Moreover, accepting that external events are beyond our control liberates us from unnecessary suffering. When we focus solely on our responses, we conserve energy and maintain inner peace. This doesn't imply passivity, but rather an active engagement with life on our terms. In essence, mastering your reactions is not about suppressing emotions, but about understanding and channeling them appropriately. It's a continuous practice, requiring self-awareness and discipline. But with time, it becomes second nature, leading to a life marked by tranquility and resilience. Chapter 2. First impressions matter. While the Stoics place supreme importance on inner virtue, wisdom, and character over appearances, they were never blind to the practical realities of human nature. As much as we might wish to live in a world where people see our soul before our surface, the truth is simpler and more primal. First impressions shape perception. They influence the way we're treated, the doors that open or close to us, and the opportunities we're either offered or denied. Acknowledging this truth doesn't betray Stoic values, it reinforces them, because Stoicism isn't about idealism. It's about dealing with the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. The moment you enter a room, people start making judgments. They read your posture, your grooming, your energy. Are you calm or chaotic? Sloppy or sharp? Dismissive or dialed in? All of this happens before you say a single word. You don't need to look like a model, but you do need to carry yourself like a man who respects himself. Neatly groomed. Dressed with intention. Shoulders back. Head high. A strong yet relaxed presence. These small but powerful details tell the world, I'm someone who takes my life seriously. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor of Rome, embodied this balance. He never obsessed over appearances, yet he understood that his presence mattered. His bearing reflected his inner discipline. He wore his role not to signal superiority, but to show stability. When you hold yourself with quiet confidence and dignity, you're not playing a social game, you're aligning your external self with your internal values. That's a Stoic move. It's not about vanity. It's about duty to yourself and to the people you engage with. Let's be clear, though. There's a razor-thin line between intentional presentation and insecure performance. The Stoic man is not interested in peacocking or begging for validation. He's not overdressing to impress strangers or faking charisma to win approval. That's not confidence, that's dependency. The Stoic path is about authenticity. It's about taking care of yourself because you honor yourself. It's about sharpening your appearance because you respect the weight of every interaction, not because you fear judgment. And here's the real power: when you carry yourself well, you don't need to talk as much. Your energy does the talking for you. A firm handshake, eye contact, clear speech, listening with intention. These are the marks of a man grounded in who he is. You don't need to sell yourself because people feel your presence. And that first impression? It sets a tone that lingers. People remember how you made them feel in the first 5 seconds far longer than they'll remember your resume. In the workplace, this can be the difference between being overlooked or being respected. Your posture in a meeting, the way you introduce yourself, your ability to stay calm under pressure, these things shape how others view your competence and reliability. You don't need to speak the loudest. You just need to be solid, grounded, professional, stoic. And in relationships, it's the same principle. That first moment of eye contact, that first interaction, it lays the foundation. If you show up disheveled, distracted, or unsure, that energy bleeds into the dynamic. But if you show up with clarity, presence, and strength, you immediately communicate depth. You don't need to be flashy or forceful, just real. Just aligned. Because women especially are tuned into how a man carries himself. Before they hear your story, they feel your presence. Now, of course, first impressions can only go so far. If your character isn't real, if your values don't run deep, people will eventually see through the act. That's why the Stoic doesn't fake composure, he builds it. He doesn't posture, he practices. He doesn't perform confidence, he embodies it. And so the initial impression he makes? It's not hollow. It's backed by substance. It holds up over time. This is how we harmonize the inner and the outer. We don't ignore presentation, nor do we worship it. We align it. We treat the way we show up physically as a reflection of how seriously we take life. Our body language, tone of voice, grooming, style, they're all extensions of our inner code. And when that inner code is built on self-respect, discipline, and wisdom, it shows before we say a single word. So yes, first impressions matter. They matter because people are wired to respond to visual and energetic cues. They matter because attention is short and the world is fast. But most of all, they matter because how you present yourself externally is often a mirror of how you treat yourself internally. Sloppy presentation? Sloppy thinking. Chaotic appearance? Chaotic inner life. The Stoic man doesn't obsess over image, but he doesn't neglect it either. He shows up fully, with intention, with care, with clarity, not for applause, not for status, but because he knows that how he enters a space sets the tone for what happens next. And in a world that's constantly watching, he leads by example, silently, powerfully, and with unwavering authenticity. Chapter 3. Health is Wealth. A man who neglects his health is a man who has already started to decay. He may not feel it yet, he may still look strong in the mirror or keep up with his routines, but underneath the surface, the consequences are growing. A Stoic man does not wait for crisis to wake him up. He chooses to live in a state of constant maintenance, constant vigilance. Because once your health goes, everything else begins to collapse: your discipline, your focus, your relationships, your confidence, your drive. The ancient Stoics understood that the body and the mind are not separate entities. A sharp intellect is dulled by a weak body. A calm spirit cannot exist in a vessel that's inflamed, tired, and neglected. Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, they all knew that physical training wasn't about vanity. It was about preparing the self to endure, to act, to lead, to resist temptation, to carry burdens with strength. Your health is not a side quest, it is the foundation of your entire ability to live well. But too many modern men treat health like a luxury. They push it to the side because of work, stress, convenience, or worse, because they believe they're invincible. They eat whatever they want. They skip sleep like it doesn't matter. They avoid movement. They drown their minds in screens, and they poison their bodies with substances just to get through the day. And then they wonder why they feel anxious, depressed, low energy, unfocused, uninspired. The truth is, most problems in your life become easier to solve the moment you take your health seriously. You don't need to be shredded to be powerful. You don't need to be an elite athlete. You need to move your body with intention. You need to treat sleep like a sacred ritual. You need to eat to fuel, not to escape. You need to cut what poisons you, even if it's normalized by everyone around you. A Stoic man is not swayed by the habits of the masses. He chooses discipline, not pleasure. He chooses longevity, not instant gratification. He doesn't need permission from culture to protect his temple. Mental health is just as important. Anxiety is not weakness, but ignoring it is. Depression is not shameful, but masking it with distractions is a slow suicide. A man must learn to sit with his emotions without being ruled by them. He must be able to feel pain, uncertainty, sadness, and still act in alignment with his principles. That is what it means to be mentally tough. Not avoidance, but resilience. Not silence, but control. And that starts with treating your mind the same way you treat your body, with care, with structure, with discipline. If your health is failing, nothing else will matter. Your ambition will suffer. Your relationships will strain. Your sex drive will crash. Your confidence will plummet. You cannot build an empire on a crumbling foundation. You can't carry a family, a business, a vision, if your own body is begging for help. A sick man has only one wish. A healthy man has 1,000. That truth alone should wake you up. That truth alone should make you protect your health like your future depends on it, because it does. Most importantly, health is not about extremes. It's about consistency. It's not about chasing perfection, but eliminating excuses. Even the Stoics fell ill. Even the Stoics aged and weakened. But what they didn't do was surrender. They adapted. They fought to keep the flame alive for as long as they could. And that's what you must do. Don't wait until the diagnosis, the breakdown, the divorce, the rock bottom. Start now. Move now. Clean up now. Heal now. Because every day you delay, the cost rises. Discipline with your body becomes discipline everywhere else. The man who can push through pain at the gym is the man who can hold his ground in an argument without exploding. The man who can delay gratification with food or substances is the man who can delay gratification in business and relationships. Your health is the battlefield where you train for life. And every workout, every clean meal, every early night, it's a rep for your future self. There's no shortcut. There's no hack. There's just the brutal truth: either you invest in your health now, or you will be forced to pay for it later with interest. The Stoic path is not about comfort. It is about clarity. And if you're truly clear on what you want from this life, freedom, impact, peace, legacy, then you must make your body and mind weapons capable of achieving it. Train. Eat clean. Sleep deeply. Cut what weakens you. Guard your temple like your life depends on it. Because it does. Chapter 4. Sometimes the problem is you. The hardest truth any man must accept is this: sometimes you're the problem. Not society. Not your upbringing. Not your ex, your boss, or your genetics. You. Your choices. Your patterns. Your refusal to take accountability. This isn't a message to shame you, it's the beginning of your liberation. The Stoics believed that you cannot control the world, but you can always control how you respond to it. And sometimes, that response must begin with the courage to say, "This is on me." Most men live their lives blaming others. They make excuses for their lack of discipline, for their failures in relationships, for the fact that nothing seems to go their way. But if you always point outward, you'll never grow inward. You'll never evolve past the stage of being a boy in a man's body, someone who expects life to change for him instead of someone who rises to meet life where it is. This doesn't mean everything that's happened to you is your fault. But it does mean that what you do next is your responsibility. If you keep attracting the same toxic people, you need to examine your boundaries. If you keep failing in your career, it's time to look at your work ethic, your habits, or your mindset. Brutal truth. Some people stay broke and stuck not because they're unlucky, but because they refuse to grow the hell up. Accountability is not punishment, it's power. When you stop blaming others, you reclaim control. You take your hands off the steering wheel of emotion and put them back on the path of purpose. You stop whining and you start building. A Stoic man does not see adversity as a death sentence. He sees it as a challenge to refine himself. Personal development is not comfortable. It's painful to confront your flaws. But discomfort is where real masculinity is forged. When you admit where you've gone wrong, when you stop pretending and start learning, you become dangerous in the best way. You become resilient, unshakable, and most importantly, you become trustworthy to yourself. So next time something doesn't go your way, don't ask, "Why does this always happen to me?" Ask, "What can I learn from this?" That shift in perspective is what separates the man who stays bitter from the man who becomes better. Own your shit. Then fix it. Chapter 5. Actions speak louder than words. Talk is cheap. Always has been. Always will be. And in today's world, where everyone has a platform, talk is damn near worthless. Social media has created a culture of constant performance, people announcing their goals, broadcasting their feelings, pretending to be motivated, spiritual, loyal, strong. But here's what separates men who actually grow from men who just pose. Stoicism doesn't care what you say. Life doesn't reward what you say. It only responds to what you do. You can post quotes, make promises, talk big in group chats. You can say you'll wake up at 5 a.m., say you're cutting that woman off, say you're getting your shit together, say you'll hit the gym or meditate or build a business. But until your actions align with your words, none of it matters. The Stoics were ruthless about this. Marcus Aurelius wrote that wasting time on what you should do instead of just doing it was the ultimate failure of self. Look at your own life. How many promises have you made to yourself in the past year? I'm done chasing women who don't care. I'm going to eat cleaner. I'll stop wasting time on distractions. This year, I'm becoming disciplined. And now, ask yourself, how many of those have you kept? Not for a week. Not for a month. Consistently, every day, when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when no one's validating you. Your integrity as a man isn't measured by how passionately you talk about change. It's measured by how ruthlessly you act on it. The world doesn't need another man with a dream and no execution. The world needs more men who don't need to say a damn thing because their life shows it. Their actions prove it. The same truth applies to others. People will say anything to get what they want. A woman may say she likes you but never shows up. A friend may claim they support you but disappear when you're down. A mentor might tell you he believes in you but never follows through with guidance. Listen to that. Observe it. Let people show you who they are, not who they say they are. Stoics didn't waste time interpreting empty declarations. They watched patterns. They watched behavior. Because behavior never lies. This chapter isn't just about calling other people out, it's about calling yourself out. It hurts because it forces you to admit you've been relying on words. It forces you to face the truth that sometimes you say things to make yourself feel better in the moment, but you don't back them with effort. You say you want self-respect, but you keep breaking your word. You say you want peace, but you keep entertaining chaos. You say you want a powerful life, but you keep indulging weakness. A Stoic man doesn't live in fantasy. He doesn't wait for motivation. He knows motivation is a child, it comes and goes. Discipline, on the other hand, is a man. It shows up whether you feel like it or not. It's in the daily decisions, the hard ones. When you choose effort over ease. When you show up to the gym even when you're tired. When you say no to the woman who's stringing you along. When you put your phone down and build something real. That's what builds your identity. Not the story you tell, but the choices you make. And here's what you need to understand. Every time you follow through, no matter how small, you're reinforcing your strength. You're building self-trust. You're telling yourself, I do what I say. That's where real confidence is born, not in affirmations or hype, but in evidence. Confidence isn't standing in the mirror yelling, I am powerful. It's knowing that when you said you'd do something, you did it. And when the next challenge shows up, you face it not with bravado, but with certainty. Because you've proven yourself to yourself. This shows up massively in relationships, too. Don't listen to words, watch actions. A woman who values you doesn't go missing for days, breadcrumb you, or play games. She makes space for you. She respects your presence. A friend who truly has your back isn't just around for fun times, he checks in when things get dark. And if you say you're building a better life but keep making the same excuses, you're not just fooling others, you're betraying your own growth. Being a man isn't about being perfect. It's about being aligned. It's about being able to look in the mirror and say, what I want, what I say, and what I do, they match. That's integrity. That's authenticity. And it's rare. The majority will always talk louder than they move. You, as a Stoic man, are called to do the opposite, move so powerfully that you no longer need to talk. When you live like this, you become dangerous in the best way. You stop making excuses. You stop wasting energy explaining yourself. You stop needing people's approval because your life becomes your loudest statement. People won't need to hear you say you're disciplined. They'll see it. They'll feel it when you enter the room. because there's a kind of energy that only comes from living in alignment. So stop saying. Start doing. Stop promising. Start producing. If you said you'd change, prove it. If you said you'd walk away, walk. If you said you'd level up, grind. Be relentless. Be focused. Be real. The world is tired of men who talk a good game. Be the man who plays it. In the end, the Stoic man knows words may inspire, but only actions transform. Let your life speak louder than anything you could ever say. Chapter 6. The saver is sexier than the spender. There's a silent, unshakable confidence that radiates from a man who knows how to handle his money. In a culture obsessed with showing off, luxury watches, leased cars, designer clothes, and nights spent blowing money at bars, the man who doesn't fall into that trap stands out like fire in a snowstorm. Not because he's trying to, but because restraint, in a world addicted to indulgence, is power. You see, being a high-value man isn't about having money, it's about how you move with it. The man who spends to impress is shouting for approval. The man who saves, plans, and invests is quietly building a life no one can take from him. And that's what Stoicism teaches: control over chaos, discipline over desire, clarity over clout. The Stoics weren't poor, they were principled. They saw luxury as a test, not a trophy. Anyone can blow money. So you can build. Women feel this on a deep level. It's not about dollar amounts, it's about energy. Flashy spending might grab her attention, but financial discipline earns her respect. A man who manages his resources well signals emotional maturity, patience, long-term thinking. That kind of man makes her feel safe, not just in the moment, but in the life he's creating. She sees it in the way he doesn't brag. She hears it in the way he talks about his goals. She feels it in the way he's not ruled by his urges. Don't mistake this for being stingy. This is not about being cheap. It's about understanding value, both monetary and personal. The difference between a man who wastes his paycheck on bottle service and a man who puts a portion into savings is not just in the bank account. It's in the mind. It's in the character. One is reacting to the moment. The other is designing his future. The man who knows how to save isn't afraid to walk away. That's what gives him power. He's not trapped in a dead-end job just for the paycheck. He's not staying in a toxic relationship because he can't afford to leave. He's not manipulated by the illusion of luxury because he's not trying to prove anything. That freedom, the ability to say no because you've got options, is priceless. And women pick up on it even if they don't say it out loud. They feel it in your posture, in your calm, in the way you carry yourself without financial anxiety leaking out of you. Let's be real, money problems ruin lives. They break couples, destroy potential, and erode self-respect. But it's not about being rich. It's about responsibility. If you can't manage a few hundred, what will you do with a few thousand? If you can't delay gratification today, how will you ever build wealth tomorrow? This is not just about budgets, it's about mindset. It's about who you're becoming every time you make a financial choice. When a man can say, "I don't need that right now," when he can resist buying something just to impress people who don't matter, when he can choose growth over gratification, that's not boring. That's sexy. That's the kind of man who builds empires, not illusions. That's the kind of man a woman can trust with a future, not just a Friday night. Look around. How many men do you see trying to mask their insecurity with purchases? Men who haven't handled their childhood trauma but think a Rolex will fix it? Men who don't have a plan for their life but have an expensive car they can barely afford? That's not power. That's performance. And eventually, the mask cracks. The debt piles up. The panic sets in. And the truth reveals itself. They weren't building anything. They were just burning. Financial discipline is inner discipline turned outward. It reflects how you handle stress, how you face temptation, how much you respect yourself. Every dollar you save is proof that you value your future more than your impulse. Every time you choose investment over indulgence, you're voting for the man you want to become. And yes, the women who are worth your time, they notice. They notice when you live within your means. They notice when you aren't obsessed with keeping up with the crowd. They notice when you have goals and systems. Because that tells them something deeper. This man doesn't need chaos to feel alive. He's already grounded. He's already focused. He's already building something solid. When you spend money, do it with intention, not to signal wealth, but to reflect wisdom. Buy what adds to your life, not what just adds noise. Don't try to flex your wallet. Flex your patience, your vision, your control. That's the real flex. That's what makes you rare. A Stoic man understands this. He knows that external wealth means nothing without internal stability. He doesn't chase trends. He builds legacy. He understands that the man who can delay gratification today owns the future tomorrow. He doesn't spend to distract himself from the emptiness, he invests to expand his capacity. That mindset is unstoppable. So remember, the saver is sexier than the spender, not because he has more, but because he needs less. He doesn't rely on flashy symbols to feel valid. His confidence isn't rented, it's earned. He's not loud about it. He doesn't need to be. His life will speak louder than his words ever could. You don't need to impress with what you buy. Impress with what you build. Impress with your ability to walk away, to wait, to choose. That's what makes a Stoic man magnetic in a world full of noise. He doesn't waste his wealth trying to look successful. He becomes the kind of man who already is. And that's the kind of man who doesn't just attract women. He attracts respect, trust, and peace. Chapter 7. Not everyone is going to like you. Here's one of the hardest pills to swallow as a man. Not everyone is going to like you. And no matter how kind you are, how sharp your mind is, how physically attractive or well-mannered you present yourself, someone will still reject you. Someone will misinterpret your intentions, overlook your value, or even actively dislike you for no clear reason at all. And here's the brutal truth, that's not just acceptable, it's necessary. The Stoics understood this better than most. Marcus Aurelius wrote that when you wake up in the morning, you should expect to meet people who are selfish, jealous, deceptive, or cruel, not out of pessimism, but preparation. Why? Because that is the world. You're not here to be universally admired. You're here to live in accordance with nature, with virtue, with your own reasoned path. Trying to be liked by everyone is spiritual death. It's emotional slavery. You'll end up twisting your personality to appeal to people who don't even know who they are. You'll smile when you want to speak up. You'll agree to things that feel wrong. You'll suppress your instincts in the name of being polite or palatable. And then you'll wonder why you feel invisible, unheard, unseen. Look deeper into this, because it's not just about social rejection. It's about your relationship to yourself. Every time you betray what you believe to win someone's favor, you don't just lose their respect, you lose your own. Every time you avoid conflict to maintain harmony, you poison your own peace. Every time you hide your strength to avoid making someone uncomfortable, you slowly erase who you are meant to be. The more authentic you become, the more rejection you'll experience. That's the paradox. Weak men think likability is the goal. Stoic men know alignment is. And when you're aligned with your core values, when your words match your actions, when your boundaries are clear, when your intentions are grounded in self-respect, you will trigger people who can't control you, use you, or mold you. And that's the real test. Can you handle being disliked and still stay grounded? Can you let someone walk away without begging them to stay? Can you say no without guilt? Can you be misunderstood without explaining yourself to everyone? Because the man who needs to explain himself all the time has already lost his center. The Stoic man lets his life speak. He does not chase validation. He stands still and lets the right people come to him. This is where real confidence is born, not from applause, but from clarity. When you stop craving approval, you become powerful. You walk into a room not wondering who's going to like you, but observing who respects your presence. You stop filtering your words to appease others and start speaking from a place of truth. And women feel that. People feel that. It's not arrogance, it's integrity. There's a difference. And yes, rejection will come. A woman might ghost you after a great date. A friend might flake after you finally set a boundary. A job interview might go cold after you refuse to sell yourself like a desperate salesman. But these are not tragedies. These are filters. These are nature's way of clearing your path, removing the unnecessary, and sharpening your circle. You do not need more people in your life, you need more aligned people. And alignment is expensive. It costs your comfort. It costs people-pleasing. It costs fake friendships. It costs shallow connections. But what you gain in return is immeasurable: peace, freedom, self-respect, and the rarest thing of all in today's world, a life that actually feels like yours. The Stoics never taught men to be passive. They taught men to accept reality, not resent it, not run from it, but face it with composure and courage. And the reality is this: not everyone is your audience. Not every woman is your match. Not every person deserves your energy. Your job is not to make them like you. Your job is to stay rooted in your principles and keep moving forward. So from this point on, stop diluting yourself to be digestible. Stop shrinking to fit into rooms that insult your soul. Stop worrying about who might not like you and start asking, do I even like them? Do they reflect the kind of energy I want to surround myself with? Are they adding clarity to my life, or just more noise? You don't need to be liked by everyone. You need to be respected by the right ones, and that respect starts with you. When you truly accept this, you stop negotiating your worth. You stop seeking validation like a beggar. You become solid, still, and sharp. And nothing is more attractive, more dangerous, or more unforgettable than a man who's fully himself, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's unpopular, even when it's lonely. That man doesn't just live. He leads. He becomes the example. And eventually, others stop trying to mold him and start trying to become like him. So embrace rejection. Embrace discomfort. Embrace the brutal truth: not everyone will like you. And that's your freedom. The truth is harsh. It's not meant to make you feel comfortable, it's meant to wake you up. You now know the brutal realities most men spend their lives running from. The question is, will you face them, or will you keep hiding behind excuses, distractions, and lies you tell yourself to sleep better at night? The Stoics didn't have modern therapy or podcasts or motivation videos. What they had was clarity. What they had was discipline. What they had was the courage to accept life as it is, and not as they wished it to be. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be honest with yourself. Accept what you can't control. Fix what you can. And walk forward, not with fear, but with fire. Because the man who can look life in the eye and say, "Give me your worst, I will endure," is the man who becomes unstoppable. Now it's your move. Live it. Apply it. Don't just watch this and nod, do something. Your future self is watching you right now. Make him proud. If this video spoke to something in you, like, subscribe, and share your story in the comments. I want to hear from men who are facing their truth, not avoiding it. And remember, the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more men of depth, discipline, and direction. Be one of them.